chemistry together since January when they put this lineup together with God Alu to really fly and perform based on how well Alu's performing. That's what we noted when we were last playing, that whilst they've got a lot of individual talent in the team such as Stonde and Yoho, they really weren't stepping up and showing that consistency. It was really how well was Alu doing. As Jim waxed his microphone there, which is hilarious to me. But I think for those guys, it'd be important that those younger players in the team put in that work tonight and really over the rest of that season and do support Alu. There's only so much he can do. I know he was voted and rated by HLTV.org as the 19th best player of 2015. And to have that sort of pedigree and caliber associated with you when you're playing in a team alongside the all-time greats in the form of Get Right and Forrest is a tremendous accolade. But I think he's going to need a little bit more support. I think on an Orgless side of things, as we do see the match shortly going live here, the knife has happened, it's probably important to give some context about these guys because this is the first time we've casted them in their second match here in Counterpit. Obviously, they have their origins back when they were Orbit, a former all-Hungarian team, moving on to Pixel Fire, CSGO 1, those sorts of teams. But now they're looking for an org, and they're out tonight to prove they've got what it takes to make it in the big leagues.
Have what it takes. Slide into the pistol. They have actually swapped fire side. All good. I'm going to send members straight through that orc as well. It actually takes a bit of a big dead Fox zone to me. Taking 2 frags for the good, and Sunny only able to square that ledger in the window. Finding a second as well. Witten down. Maeve does find a reply, but breaking down here. That bomb is caught in. Alu is actually over A site as well.
Yeah, you can see at the moment though, the intent here from Zart is to try and get that bomb to the site. Maeve doing a fantastic job of just stalling for time here and not letting him get in there. And you can see at the moment he's taking a lot of damage, down to 16 beans of HP. And whilst Alu has control of the A site, it's not much to do if they can't get that bomb down. So time just dwindling away. I think Zart trying to dig a secret passageway into that A site. He will now decide the time is right. He will get in there, but Flash well positioned there on CT ramp to at least spot out that member of Zart, but can't quite connect. So down to 2 points of health. Alu hurt as well, but whilst they're getting pincered here, it will be a round going the way of Orgless. They do start out on the right foot, but I think it's always going to be quite tough there from ENCE perspective. I mean, we saw them hit mid very, very quickly, but without any smokes or utility to support them, Jim, there's just so many choke points to contend with there. We saw Dead Fox picking them apart from the mid window and really just caught having to watch so many different angles.
Yeah, that's a pretty unfortunate circumstance for them there. So, as I said, ripped to a few users there with my microphone going down. I actually switched it back to my headset microphone. The mixer not quite working the way I wanted to, but nonetheless, ideal start there for Orgless, really pulling out of the fire. Deadfox though finds a frag, finds a second frag as well. Zart finds a 1-bullet deagle headshot onto Baba there. It opens up this A site. They get to plant down importantly, so it's already a good start for these guys. But they've invested a lot in this round. They need to really do a lot more damage if the Witten finds the first frag, Maeve finds the second. Cleaned up there nice and easy, and the defuse comes in.
Yeah, good job there from Orgless. It looked a little bit shaky in the sense we saw a nice couple of deagle shots. Zart with a nice 1B really opened up that A site. They got a plan, but like you said, with the investment that they did have, which was pistols across the board, armor across the board, even a grenade or two, perhaps you'd almost be expecting or hoping for a little bit more in that instance. You can see now, despite getting the plant on the first or the second round, I should say, they really are left in that sort of tough situation where they can't afford to buy again, but they know they've done some economic damage, so they're almost inclined to. But I think they've made the smarter decision here. They will eco, look forward to that first gun round on the 4th round. And it looks as though Orgless should be on cleanup duty here, Jim. A few members in mid, ready to have a feast.
To deal with him.
Well, he said to deal with. He's got quite some presence himself, though. A young up-and-coming talent in the Finnish scene. We do see he will back off now. has that bomb, but you can tell that Baba perhaps might be able to hear these footsteps. If not now, he will certainly know and will communicate that to Flash. So we now find ourselves with ENCE.ASUSROG with it all to do as he makes his way in towards A, but he's going to be met by a well-positioned Baba. They're standing on the wooden boxes, but Baba feeling quite generous there, allowing you to take a peek, have a look, and then fall back with some sort of safety and assurance that he would not be punished. So this round, unfortunately for us as viewers, just tending to draw on a little bit more because, of course, the outcome you'd have to think would be inevitable from this point. So there's too much to do and proves to be just that. We just had to wait an extra 10 or 15 seconds or so just to lock it in. But we now move on to what will be the first gun round here. Curious to me to see who gets that AWP. It will be Stonde. From an ENCE perspective, we do know that Alu is quite proficient. Stonde is for the primary AWPer in the team. You can see we do have 3 members of ENCE here posted up in the B halls, while Stonde and Sunny do their best job. The AWPer and the in-game leader trying to move their way up mid, and it could be a lot to do for 2 people, but they've got up quite far. Maeve, though, the Danish import, has taken down Sunny. So the first exchange going the way of Orgless. Good job here on that first gun round to keep up that momentum, getting that opening duel going their favour. We can see really it will be Flash who's put to the test quite aptly. Throws a great flash grenade into the B halls. Couldn't have said it better myself, but it will be now himself putting that rifle to good use. Does drop Yuho there and gets a second good headshot onto Alu. So all of a sudden, ENCE with it all to do. They have found 2 frags though, and a third. Zart doing a fantastic job there, clearing out that B site. That fake does come in as Stonde wanting to just make sure there's no one too close, but as Whitten does give away his presence there at short, it will allow that safety for Stonde to get that bomb down. And now Whitten forced to retake. Of course, the ex-Kinguin player here does use that Molotov to try and flush out Stonde, but some good movement there coming in from the Finnish player will allow him to bunny hop to safety around that corner. He's now posting up with that AWP. Zart on 100 HP as well, but looks like Stonde here, well positioned, does get the drop there, and a fantastic recovery. ENCE winning that 2 versus 4. Zart in particular, some great headshots to open up that B side. Can I just say, though, I like the fact that they actually went B on a gun round. All too often, especially in the Australian scene where we're from, teams just love to commit to that A site nearly every round. So I like seeing something different from them. As it was, I like the fact that they did also split the site with some early mid presence just to keep the CTs quite honest. You can see off the back of how close those previous anti-eco rounds had been, Jim, that we've commented that 1 loss was all it's taken here to go back north and eco.
And in middle there, Alu actually jumps after he gets that frag onto Whitten. A site, a lot of trouble here. Baba as they're trying to. Baba, of course, quite easily.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, some might say that perhaps Alu did mouse wheel, which is why he jumped. I personally like to think of it as a celebratory jump. He was very happy to God Alu there, really having his way, because at the moment, not doing much godlike work at the bottom of the scoreboard, just 2 frags, but plenty of time yet. But just a little pep in his step right now as he does jump in celebration. We can see now this will be the second gun round, and Barber, the Swedish talent, a 1.6 player, does have that AWP in hand, which he was renowned for back in his early Counter-Strike days, and we'll put it to good use there. Does drop Alu, so that's an important duel to win. Takes down the Danger Man very early on. Alu there getting caught off guard, not perhaps expecting the CTs to be able to afford an AWP, given the fact that they have been struggling for their economy a bit. It was all a fake. They will now move towards B. Sunny takes down Flash, but in a flash he himself is traded out, but Barber proving a menace all over the map as he takes down Yoho, and all of a sudden they're now able to concentrate their defenses on that B side, which is where both terrorists are headed. I might just stop you there for a sec, Jim. I'm hearing that apparently your mic is muted on stream. People might not be able to hear you. Should be able to hear you. Okay, we might try and get some confirmation in the Twitch chat and on that one. But in any case, whilst Jim peruses the chat, looking through all the God Alu, Bot Alu comments for some sort of confirmation, we have seen that ENCE here have lost 1 member. All of a sudden it is down to Stonde. and I'm hoping that I've regained a member of my casting team. No, apparently not just yet, but in any case, it will be Stonde there. Not quite connecting. You can see at the moment, though, he was just backing off. He's got plenty of time. I think perhaps the primary objective might have been saving that AWP, but now that he's been spotted out, that's not to happen, as Barbar says, good night. It is night time over in Europe, certainly not where we are. But at the moment, Orgless doing a good job there of winning that first gun round. And 4-2, the score currently stands, and I'm solo casting. It is important to note, by the way, I just want to give some credit where it's due. It's Whitten, I should say. A new addition to the team, only added last week. The team announced that Tabu had been released due to his school commitments. So we do see Whitten here on a trial basis performing with the team. And at the moment, doing a good job of keeping things steady for the team. Quite a good support player. We do see he himself just keeping eyes on mid and A at the moment, swiveling between. But the action has certainly been towards the B side for much of this T-half from an ENCE perspective, at least when they've had rifles. And that's the direction in which they're headed. So again, Flash will be put to the test. He does try and stall them for time, but it will be Yoho, the entry player, coming out and catching him there as he does fall down towards that band and getting the headshot with only losing a single point of health. So making it look too easy and gets a double there. So great job. Can he convert a 30? Wants some more. He steps around in the checkers and all three members potentially there for him, but unfortunately for his sake, it would have been quite nice and quite ideal as a spectator to see him perhaps triple up and get that ace there, but wasn't to be. That overwhelming CT presence. Yeah, that's gonna do nightmares, I think, for the Orgless economy. Obviously, winning that previous round and now losing this. The only saving grace that they've got in this instance is the fact that 3 members did survive, so they might be able to somehow shuffle around a buy. Perhaps a player or two might have to compromise and go with the pistol there, but ENCE doing a good job of forcing the issue there as they got on towards that B site. I very much like the way that they actually got very, very close to that B site before they were even spotted. It was that first exchange with Yuho getting that drop onto Flash there, which was seemingly in the B site before it happened. And if you're not getting that early read from a CT perspective that they're coming your way, it can be very, very difficult to, I guess, be in a situation where you're left scrambling. But we do see them now mixing up. They are going towards A, all 5 members here, 4 coming out the T-ramp. Alu himself going Palace, leaving that to himself. But at the moment, it's all the CT waves. So this is back and forth. This is a fight, and this is what we wanted to see here, as both of these teams really trying to keep their counterfeit season going in the right direction here. This is the second match, I should say, for both teams, and at the moment, Orgless having their way in that round, but as we've seen in recent history, with rounds getting traded each way, that's no guarantee that it'll be continuing to go in that way.
At all. Back into this one. Yeah, from getting on top of that T economy.
Yeah, that's right. So from an ENCE perspective, I mean, they've just got some deagles in hand. We have seen, though, how deadly they can be. I mean, some of these players individually have a lot of individual pedigree, a lot of individual skill, sometimes in which they seem to rely too much on their individual skill as opposed to some set strategies. It's tended to be their downplay in the past, in the words of their in-game leader, Sunny. So I think the players themselves recognise that. It's important that they do have that right balance, though. Barbar, they're connecting with a nice shot. Of course, the terrorists are on eco here, so it should be quite pedestrian. But Yuho, speaking about strong deagles, rips the head off Barbar there and says, thank you very much.
Counter-terrorists win. It's an action. On a frag, all the, navigating that quite well.
Doing a good job there from an Orgless perspective. It's important, I think, for these guys, more so than ENCE, to get after a strong start. I think when you're coming in off a team that's been struggling with stability, that's been struggling with roster, moving around players, I know we mentioned Tabu. I think also just recently at the end of last year, we saw Barbar himself get added. So they've been trying to get that mix of players right for a few months now. And I think it's important that they do start off well to really get that momentum going for them tonight. At the moment, though, it's that aggression in mid which has worked so well. You do see that triple push there from the CT perspective. They do catch a couple of members of Orgless of ENCE, I should say, off guard there, my apologies. And as a result, it's left us with a great situation here where we've got a member of the terrorist team in T-Sport, God, Alu hasn't moved yet, Stonde is in the B side, with the CTs plastered and positioned there in between both oncoming members. So their job now is solely to hold that bomb. They have lost one member though, Maeve getting picked off there, but Witten does spot out his teammate there in the form of Stonde at the B side. So at least they've got information now on where both terrorists are. From a CT perspective, I just hope that they can get some good positioning here. It looks as though whilst Dead Fox and Barbara are switched on to the need to hold that bomb, Witten himself is actually quite a long way off at the moment. So this is essentially now a 2-on-2. I think he's on a bit of a hunting for information there towards that A Palace, but his teammates need some support here. And Barbara will be the one to take that exchange and does crucially get the drop there onto Stonde, who had that AWP in his hand. So Barbara doing a fantastic job at the moment, leading the way on the scoreboard with 12 frags, but more importantly, they are high impact frags and he needs another one if potentially he can. Alu, just the last minute to the mid, will go down. Barbara doing a good job there of just scouting out the information before Dead Fox stepped around the box and had a nice easy frag.
Hey look, just check that my microphone volume is actually not ruining itself at the moment.
Oh, it's wrecked itself.
Is it ruining you?
Well, just casting with you is ruining me, mate. But in any case...
What's going on?
In any case, we're not... Okay, you're not the user at all, but we do see, I'll keep talking until you get that confirmation, we do see the terrorists here funneling their way towards B. They are on eco, and that's exactly what Flash wanted to see, because the last few times they've come B, they have had rifles in hand, and it's been a sorry tale for Flash so far when he's been trying to hold off, but a bit of an easier case this time. He does triple up there, so good work by Flash, trying to get himself going. One of the founding members of this Orgless team when they were once an all-5 Hungarian team. Now they only have 2 surviving members in the form of Flash and Dead Fox, and really doing a great job there of trying to build up his economy. He does have over $6,000 now, and all of the Orgless Warriors members looking quite good from a financial perspective.
We do see a little bit of mid-control coming out from ENCE here, and no frags just yet. Smokes will come in and they will take control of the connector here. They will smoke Witten out and try and find that frag here, but as we see, the CTs are actually collapsing around mid and setting a net of their own to hopefully catch these ENCE players out in the mid connector. They do send members in there ready towards the A, in fact flashing their way straight to the right. The 2 walk right past. Dead Fox unfortunately does fall there, and the A site so far is successfully being defended. 2 members come up from that right in there, finding that entry frag into the A side. So let's find a second. Looking for that third, unfortunately not able to do so. Baba, the only one left to contend with here on the CT ramp, and they will try and flash him out. They still have 50 seconds left though, so plenty of time to do so.
Bomb has been planted.
Smoke. Flash will be stepped on. Stonde is on point. If he's not careful, could be seeing him walk around the edges of that smoke. So just playing a dangerous. Does miss his shot though. Baba though falls victim to a no scope from Stonde. Well played.
Good job there. I mean, that was a much needed round there. Alu in particular stepping up. He does have 5 frags now, but he did get a double that round. I will say though that I was starting to get worried because much like we said in the pre-game, when Alu was struggling in the past, we have seen Team ENCE struggling. That's why they've had some inconsistency in their results. And so far tonight, Alu hasn't quite found his groove, but did a good job there of opening up that A site in that sort of, I guess, breakdown situation after those initial frags had gone down, and his team was able to capitalise and close it out. So good job from ENCE. The Finnish players here will need to keep up this momentum though, because they are quite a well way behind on the scoreboard at the moment. Of course, Mirage being a CT-sided map, you could expect that Orgless would have a lead, but ENCE will be wanting to make sure that that lead is kept to a minimum. Orgless with 8 rounds at this stage. You can see that ENCE off the back of having that success at A though, Jim, they've now all of a sudden changed up the game completely and slowed it down and are split across the map at this stage. No mid presence, but some in B halls and some in A. I'm not quite sure what we're seeing here from them.
Yeah, perhaps just a little bit of indecision creeping in, and we have seen some nice set executes from them, but unfortunately they've been successfully defended so far, bar the great individual brilliance that's shone through for them. So we will just see just a little bit of fire being laid down into the apartments, really just stalling the progress of Zart. We do see all the members split between the 2 sites. Elo actually picks up the frag over at the A site there. straight onto Maeve, and pressure is still Zart does find that first frag. Fox gets taken down as well with 2 bullets remaining in his chamber, and that bomb site will be taken. The bomb will be planted, and Witten and Baba will need to combine if they are to retake this site.
Yeah, definitely not in this instance. You can see with the bomb going down, them being at the A side, it's just all too great of a distance for them to cover with any sort of realistic chance of winning this round. Their objective now would be to save their guns, but Alu, I think, is clued onto that fact. You can see only has 10 points of health, but at the moment, the most important thing that he can do is just listen for any sort of sound of potentially CTs running away. We can see from our perspective, with the advantage of the overlay, that both of those CTs are posted up in the A Palace, and I think they were quite quiet in terms of getting there. So I'm not sure if Alu necessarily has the read just yet, but great work there from ENCE, really pouncing on the B side. We said that perhaps at the start of the round they looked as though they were moving without purpose, but Witten here, I might hold that thought because he will come under fire. Does get one, but he has lost his teammate there, so good work by Sunny. But I did like the way in which they did regroup and move towards that B site with I guess that show of force. All 3 members, again, something we've seen already this half, moving very, very close to the B site without that read from a CT, just being able to bust onto it. Those 2 frags went down very quickly.
Yeah, essentially an ideal opening to that round from ENCE. But we will obviously see another gun round come here. Stondi, again, taking that AWP, as they do actually amass their forces over towards this A site. So hopefully my microphone now has been resolved. It's gone through its teenage issues, and now Baba finds the first frag. He's traded out immediately there by Juho, so great work from him. Witten, though, will investigate mid and just actually get caught through the smoke there. Zart just aware to what actually would happen. So they will now look to work this this A site. Only 1 member remains there, and they are going to regroup on the T ramp there, and just Dead Fox to contend with in the A site. In the meantime, though, Maeve is making his way through mid.
That's right. So Maeve getting some information, but you can't help but feel it might be a little bit too late here as Yuho well positioned, and he will perhaps spot out Dead Fox, or it is Dead Fox there actually. I mind you, who does get the drop there, but Stonde, great trade frag there. That was ever so important. You can see on the overlay here that both of those CT members in the form of Flash and Maeve are so far away, so this will be the bomb site secured. It just goes to show how important that trade kill was, and as Stonde plants the bomb to secure himself a few extra bonus points on Valve's magic scoreboard, we'll see ENCE now in a 3-on-2, forced to try and hold off here. But I like this flank here from Majim. He has opted to go Palace instead of T-Ramp. This could be interesting.
Could be very interesting here is does actually pick up Alu there on the flank. Immediately traded out by Zart, so good work from him, and finds the second as well. So no retake chances at all for Orgless, and ENCE just closing that gap a little. Important though that they get this last round on their T side and really give themselves the best chance of winning this map.
Yeah, I think in the context of this matchup, not just what we're seeing now in the first half of tonight's match, but I think over the entirety of tonight's BO2, I think when we find those situations that sort of break down into the 4-on-4s and 3-on-3s, that it will favour ENCE. I think they do have the more talented roster, at least on paper, and I think at least in their history as well. And I think from an Orgless perspective, they need to be using that team play to try and, I guess, overwhelm the T's in this instance in force and not really find those one-for-one duels. But at the moment, having said that, Alu has managed to find himself with that holy hand grenade, a frag onto Maeve, so they open up what will be this last round of the half. CT have just everything to make the ball, but in some instances, that's just a pistol in the hand of Barbar there, and not any, perhaps, supporting utilities to support him. So as they put a lot of pressure here on mid-gym, it will be Barbar that needs to find a miracle here as he is in that window room and has a few to contend with.
Yeah, I think your mic's actually caught the same bug that I had, funnily enough. But Yuho actually opens up the B site there. Nice frag onto Dead Fox though. He is going to be supported in this B site, Baba. And, geez, Binks flying out left, right and centre. Stonde finally gets the frag, gets the jump on that man. Witten does find a frag as well. So this is being played very, very cautiously, funnily enough, by Flash. He's sitting at the van. They don't know he's there just yet. But I think he has perhaps timed out. They haven't checked that spot at all. In fact, that's exactly how it plays out here. 8-7 the score at the half-time. I do believe we will have a little bit of a pause here coming in as a result of that timeout as well.
Rip, says Natu there, of course. That was one of the additions when ENCE did pick up this team, this Finnish team at the beginning of this year, built it around Alu. They actually did pick up both Natu and Lopus, who took on managerial roles. So I've been a little bit surprised so far from what we've seen in them, to see them have a few difficulties on their T side, not necessarily tonight, but more so in the context of their recent history, because they've got such I guess, great pedigree players who have a lot of experience themselves, both in Counter-Strike 1.6 and even earlier than that. So I think for those guys, it's just a learning curve. But Jim, when I looked at that half, 8-7, apart from the microphone issues and the technical difficulties, which we hope are resolved, I can't help but feel that Orgless Warriors had everything going for them, but seemingly just fizzled away at the end of that half. I mean, 8-7 was the scoreline. They were up 8-3 at one point. And like we said, I think for this team that are going up against it in terms of the individual stakes tonight and some of those player matchups, when you've got a lead like that, you really need to hit it home and finish off those halves very strongly.
Yeah, exactly right. Failing to capitalise on a great start is probably the best way to put it, because they were in a commanding position. Just allowed ENCE to get back into that match. They're losing key picks in the round. ENCE, though, to their credit, really varied up their T side. We saw a lot of different strategy coming out from these guys, and they really tried to work both sides quite well. I was quite impressed in between trying to fiddle with my mic as to the array of strategy they were actually pulling out. So no surprise really to see them 7 rounds to the T side, given particularly that it wasn't actually their pick either. This was Orgless's pick in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm not going to be so quick to go and throw a label on strategy on what we were seeing from them. I mean, that might sound like a harsh critique, but it was more for me. I like the way in which they were understanding and really taking what they were given from a terrorist perspective. We saw how well they were able to get so close towards that B side in particular before really pouncing on the site, but it wasn't as though there was any sort of strategic genius there. I think it was more so the fact that they had their men well positioned to make those trade frags and really to pounce onto sites, be it A or B, very, very quickly. And I liked what they were able to really read into the CT defense and make the most of that. But I think for these guys, it was important that they did find their grooves. They have been struggling in recent times to find their way from an ENCE perspective. Some really inconsistent results, losing to teams that perhaps they shouldn't. So for these guys, I like their chances now that they've really started to get some rounds under their belt. You can see on the scoreboard at the moment, all 5 players from an ENCE perspective really with the same number of kills. And really the CTs, Jim, in a similar sort of situation themselves. Maybe just Flash lagging behind a little bit, but not much.
You know, at least a reasonable contribution coming through from most of the members there, as we see a fairly even distribution on the CT side. On the T side, though, it really was Baba, Whitten and Dead Fox leading the pack.
We now move on. Yeah, we move on to the second pistol here, and it will be Flash getting the drop there. ENCE.ASUSROG and caught in the middle of no man's land there. Perhaps going for a peek there, an underpass, and paid the ultimate price with his life there. And Dead Fox showing off his movement there will pick up a nice double, and all of a sudden, Orgless have just exploded here onto this A bomb site. Members there streaming out of mid, streaming out of Palace, and ENCE really left asking what on earth just happened there, because seemingly they just lost 3 or 4 members in the space of about 10 seconds. Great job by Orgless, overwhelming those CTs, but catching them off guard. Surprised to see that a team of ENCE's, I guess, level would be able to, I guess, be caught with their pants down as it was in this instance.
That's pretty much the way to describe it. They were caught with their pants down. They really didn't have anything set in stone or in place. That was a simple mid-rush and quite easily dismantling the CT's defences there. As again, they do take mid-control, and Orgless will try and work their way mid, try and get that early pick, but of course just Yuho to deal with in that mid window. That Molotov will just push him back a little bit further, make him take a more defensive line, as Alu actually takes a lot of damage here, and Baba will catch out Sunny pushing through those apartments, so good work from him. Maeve, though, has made his way into the window, does spot the fishing rod of Yuho there, does take him out as well, so Dead Fox finds another frag, and again, this is just a simple pick and pull apart round for Orgless. They do finally get Alu in that A site, allowing them to plant, and it's just Zart to contend with on the other end of the map. Really, we should just be looking for a gun here. He does have a $900
he's got a gun,
incentive to get a frag here.
Yeah, he's got a gun, mate. He's got that swag 7 in hand, but really, I think not much coming of that round for ENCE. You could see that they had invested quite a few interesting weapons into that round, trying to potentially catch Orgless off guard on that second round, but in the end, like you said, they were picked apart with relative ease there from an Orgless perspective. I think this is now boding well for this part Hungarian, part Swedish, part Danish team, who now find themselves up 10-7. We are now looking at potentially another eco round here for ENCE, just trying to shore up that economy as we look towards the next gun round. But Jim, from a CT perspective, the question I'd ask you now is ENCE try and mount a comeback. We do see them stacking mid on the eco, but I think here Orgless will be quick to catch onto it, as they do have a few members. Whitten, there was a nice frag long-range P90. What approach would you be taking to this CT drone area? Because we know that they have two really strong AWPers in the form of Stonde and Alu, but when you're on the CT side and you haven't one pistol, it can be quite difficult financially to be able to keep up that bank, to be able to afford both of those rifles. It can be a risky game.
It can be a very risky game, as we saw some great spray transfer there from Bubba onto all three of those targets. But look, you need to get an AWP in there at some point. Obviously, at the moment, they've gone with Stonde. He is the primary AWPer, and he will really lead the charge with them there. Of course, T's don't know that he has an AWP yet, so this is probably situation ideal for ENCE at the moment, because they're more than likely to walk into his crosshair. As soon as they find out they have that they have an AWP in their possession, essentially they are going to take things a little bit more cautiously, and that's the ideal start that ENCE wanted there. Stonde picking that first frag into short, but Maeve's actually able to find a trade there onto Yuho over at the A site, so not really getting away with anything just yet. Orgless keeping them in check and keeping them honest.
Yeah, that was difficult there for Yoho, as he was caught trying to fall back to really fortify what had been a great start to the round, and unfortunately for his sake, he was punished as a result by exposing a little bit too much skin. But in any case, ENCE did a good job of really keeping up what had been a good start to the round there, as Alu himself does get another frag for the round, so we do find ourselves now in a 4-on-3 situation. Orgless with it all to do, and you can see the information here that Zart is able to get. He's actually pushed through the B halls, and whilst Barber here might potentially have the drop on Sunny, I think the CTs here have the bigger information, as we do see Zart on a flank. Alu potentially will be taking a duel there with Dead Fox. He is actually the one to lose out in that instance though, so punished. But as the trades go down, you can see that Dead Fox will now find himself the last surviving member, and surviving here is not very much longer.
No, he was just taken down all too swiftly there. It looked good from a T-side perspective, but ENCE actually had a perfect read there. They had three members sitting on that A site, and of course that fourth member was getting a lot of information while pushing through T-spawn. So he already knew that B was not an option, as they are going to make their way into this round. Stonde actually, as a result of losing that AWP, has been forced to go into a Mag 7, try and build himself a little bit of bank, perhaps predicting that Orgless would not be on a such a strong buy here, as we see Barber actually the one bringing out that AWP.
Yeah, I think potentially those nades in mid there will, I guess, storybook the fact that Orgless have been able to invest into this round. So I think that Stonde perhaps will be a little bit more on guard now, recognising that he's up against a formidable opponent. You can see Yuho there spotting out one member in mid, but you're right, Jim, when you say without that AWP, potentially now it looks as though this defense is a lot weaker, just purely off what we're seeing. They're almost getting bullied and pushed around mid at the moment. They have done a good job, though, of not taking too much damage. Stonde, that man in B, is the only one to really take a duel so far. You can see Alu just weaseling away there in the window room, and as a couple of terrorists there walk by him, actually tempted to step out, but it will be Dead Fox there who punishes a C2 who had similar thoughts there, as Yuho gets taken down. Alu there making a few footsteps as he jumps up on that box, and Dead Fox hears that, and Dead Fox, he can't quite put him away. He does in the end get that second frag, and he needed to in that instance. 5-on-3 here. Orgless here in a great position to potentially win this round and reset the economy events. Yeah,
and that bomber's making its way over towards the A site as well, so despite a lot of B pressure coming out from Orgless, they are going to actually hit the A site, and I don't mind this from ENCE. Obviously it's not the right read, but they're just gambling and stacking the B site here and hoping that that's their objective, but of course we know that's not the case. At least they are setting themselves up to potentially try and save these three rifles.
That's a really great point. Yeah, that's a great point that you make, because I think that from a CT perspective, a 3-on-5 situation on a map like Mirage as well, with both of those sites so stretched so far apart, it's always going to be difficult if you try and hit men at both sites. Now, they opted to stack B in this instance, perhaps whether that was from their research in which they saw Orgless opting to go B in those sort of mid to late round situations, perhaps, or as rounds broke down, they had a preference to go towards that site. We'll never know. But in any case, Orgless went towards A, but what it does allow the CTs now, because they've stacked B, is to potentially get into stronger positions to save those guns in which you talk about, which is ever so important. It means that they'll now be able to, I guess, have that chance going into next round of putting up a formidable by themselves.
Yep, that's key that they do save that, and that they do. The T's really aren't too intent on forcing the issue either, trying to build our own economy as a result of winning that round, but we will see another force buy coming out here from ENCE as a result of saving those three rifles, and a really critical round coming up here for both teams.
Yeah, this is probably the most important round of the match for me. I think ENCE here are on a knife's edge because they have fully invested off the back of saving those 3 guns, as you'd expect. The other members of the team have invested themselves, so potentially if they were to lose this round, they'd be down 13-8, but they wouldn't have any money to play with.
Yeah, Juho is actually in a very forward position. He's jumped out the window and sitting in the underpass, so he potentially could hold the keys to this round. I mean, they're not really forcing the issue through the B halls just yet, but they're getting a lot of information. In fact, they are double pushing through. Zart does find a fantastic frag onto Baba as well. Flash is actually relinquishing control of those B halls, and as a result, I do believe ENCE are going to send their members over towards this A site, and it's going to come to a head here. All 4 members of Orgless are going to make their way up. They need to make the frags here.
Yeah, it's all about timing. Will the CT rotation get there fast enough? You can see Whitten there. The former Kingdom player will go entry frag in this instance. It will be Dead Fox though. He gets that kill onto Alu. Now that CT rotation will be called into question. Sunny doing a good job there of trading that frag, but even more importantly, staying alive for so long. It just bought that opportunity there for Zart to get that follow-up frag onto Whitten. And as the Molotov comes in, Maeve might be laughing temporarily, but in the end, it will be his team that loses that round. But I loved, particularly there in that A defense, it was the way that Sunny got that frag, but stayed alive for so long, Jim. It just allowed his teammates to assist him. Zart, in particular, capitalising off the attention in which Sunny was able to draw there.
It was a bit of a funny situation because that Molotov was actually above him and he wasn't aware that he was sitting within the radius of it. So he was still burning alive, obviously just not without the visual representation of flames being on his screen. So a bit of a confusing situation for him. Nonetheless, though, they are going to both go on to another gun round here, and for me this is really where ENCE are at breaking point. As we see Baba get tagged down a little bit, they are taking the picks in mid and trying to really pincer this T side as they make their way to try and control mid. But that bomb is just sitting in the B halls, not really committing to either side. They will boost someone into that mid window though, and this is where things are about to get really interesting.
Well, this is dicey now, as Whitten is potentially in that window that you speak of, but I think he's actually able to jump out and fall back towards underpass and try to regroup with his teammates, and as Alu does take down Maeve, all of a sudden they've really got nothing going for them other than the fact that they're all heading towards B, and Zart here, that nice little pop flash, the Freiburg flash, but unfortunately he cops the same treatment that Freiburg has just recently as he goes down without not doing much. That was, of course, just a joke, but in any case, we do see Orgless here forced to try and retake this B site. They have lost one member. Flash doing a great job, actually, of taking down Yuho, and in this important round that you speak of, ENCE needing to keep up this pressure here and string these rounds together. I mean, it's forced their hand in going for the retake, but unfortunately for them, they find themselves in a 2-on-2. Stonne and Sunny doing a good job at that instance of getting to this position, but there's still work to do. They are moving towards this site. Dead Fox there, he's been such a presence so far this map, and has it all to do left in a 1-on-1 now, but you can see the HP on Sunny. Time ticking away. Playing it perfectly as he just steps around that pillar and hits that easy frag. It looked a little bit more dramatic as he sprayed through the smoke, but really with the HP that Sunny had, that was only ever going one way. 13-9 here, Jim, and Dead Fox and Barbar are doing everything that they can to drag their team along to victory here.
They are putting in an absolute shift this evening. But this is where it really got hairy now or gets hairy, should I say, for ENCE, because their money has been broken as CTs. They can't afford anything but upgraded pistols on a few members there, and they're just going to take their chances, funnily enough. Stacking members over towards the B site and a little bit in mid. Funnily enough, that is not the direction that Orgless are sending their members. In fact, they're sending the bomb +3 towards that A site, so this is going to be another free round for them. They get this bomb down, and the CTs again just at the opposite side.
Yeah, I mean, some credit here I think has to go to Orgless. Whilst we see ENCE stacking the B site, I think one of the reasons in which we see them opting in this instance to stack that is the fact that Orgless have been doing such a fantastic job on their T side of mixing up where they've been going in terms of the different choke points on the map. In the last 3 rounds, we've seen from them in succession a round in which they went slowly towards A, then a round in which they went towards mid, and then ultimately towards B. So they're showing pressure across all different choke points of the map, and it's making it quite difficult from an ENCE perspective to get that right read on potentially where they're off to next. You can see as it was, they strolled into an empty A bomb site. Whilst Yuho and Alu have done a great job here of recovering some AKs, that's not going to be a round win on the board for them at 14-9. It's all too quickly becoming a match in which is getting away from them now. They have it all to do. You can see from a CT perspective, Jim, they can afford to buy into this round. 6k there on Sunny potentially will allow him to buy an AWP and to share it around with his team, which he does. You can see them playing past the parcel there as Stonday does recover that rifle here. But moving into this round here, Orgless on the verge of breaking ENCE's game.
Yeah, another key round coming in, and this one probably more so than the others, at least in terms of ENCE's chance of taking this first map, as we do see them setting up for a bit of an A execute. So this round is on a timer. They will look to make things happen here as we will see the members of ENCE forced to take this site. Sunny is sitting completely blind in the site. He will be taken out by Flash there. May finding the frag onto Yuho. A opens up like a can of sardines, and now Baba is little did he know he was actually sitting around the toes of Ali there up on the ticket box. But they've lost 2 members quite early. The third goes down in quick succession, and they're being locked out of this A site. This does not look good at all for ENCE, and in fact, I dare say they're just quite content to try and save their weapons, bringing up match point for Orgless.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes to show, I think, for me, the versatility that we're seeing from Orgless here. We now see them, I guess, at the start of the round going straight into an orchestrated set execute onto A side, and I think catching a few members there of ENCE out of position. It was Sunny in particular in the middle of the site there. I'll hold that point as gets a nice frag. But Sunny there was caught holding an off angle that you'd normally be holding if you're expecting a terrorist team to be slowly walking their way into the site, trying to open up the site with their gun as opposed to their smoke grenades and flashes. So I like this change of tempo again from Orgless. They're doing a fantastic job, and I think ENCE at the moment are just left reeling where they're not quite sure what's coming next at their way. You can see moving here, 15-9 the score. They will have 6 match points to claim the first map in this BO2 encounter tonight.
And I think we must reiterate that the format really places a premium on winning 2-zip, so a bit of a skip there, but we didn't miss any action at all. In fact, they are going to make their way into mid here, Orgless, and no frags have gone either way. Yuho and Sunny taking a little bit of damage early on in the round, but some decent utility, funnily enough, coming out from ENCE, and they are able to scrounge a bit of a buy-up here with Stonday actually grabbing that AWP as well. So they do still stand a decent chance of defending the safe side, but Sunny goes down quite early, so already that chance of defending things is starting to diminish. They're nearly getting caught out, only taking 26 points of damage for the trouble, but he's going to be forced to retreat in A site and just reevaluate which angle he's going to hit. In the meantime, though, Orgless have a little bit of time to play with, and really are playing with ENCE's, I guess, read on this round. They don't really have any information as to what the T's are doing.
Yeah, they're left scrambling here as they're trying to rotate between sites, trying to make the right guess, and as Maeve gets his second Molotov kill for this half, and really, I think second in about 3 rounds. He's doing a great job with it. It will be all up to Alu, though. He needs to hold the site. They do run over his head, and he punishes one of them as a result. Flash going down, but needs to get a second here. He can't, and as Stonday takes down one himself, all of a sudden, we do find ourselves with it all to do for Stonday in a 1-on-3. He's already got 1, like we said, but 3 more here to keep his team's hopes alive. This was the pick of Orgless, but as we say that, Stonday at close range, using it like a shotgun, but Dead Fox says, no, thank you. This was my match. I finished with 26 frags, and I'll finish it off in style there as he does take down Stonday in that B site. 16-9. Orgless walk away victorious on that first map here in tonight's BO2. And really, I think they had complete control there from